So I'm finally talking about WWE 2K24. I got it at Christmas, so it's been quite a while, and I've had a lot of time to play it. It's a lot of fun. Cody Rhodes has always been one of my favorite wrestlers. Before AEW, before he became this big star in WWE, I loved him as dashing Cody Rhodes, and I loved him even more when he became undashing Cody Rhodes. And I liked him as Stardust. I know he didn't like doing Stardust, and a lot of the fans didn't like him as Stardust, but I liked him as Stardust. It obviously wasn't as good as his other gimmicks, but I liked it. And the American Nightmare, I really enjoyed it in AEW. It started as like a heel thing, though, so I'm very surprised that he's kept the nickname in WWE because, like, the whole point of that is that he was supposed to be like the opposite of Dusty Rhodes. Dusty Rhodes is the perfect babyface. He's the American Dream. And Cody Rhodes is the American Nightmare. He's supposed to be the perfect heel. Yet he kept that even though he's a babyface. Very weird. So, here's that little rant. Let's talk about the actual game now. Showcase mode was fine. A lot of shit to unlock. Unfortunately, even though this is 40 years of WrestleMania, there wasn't that many WrestleMania arenas to unlock, which I think is just really stupid because 30 years of WrestleMania had way more arenas to unlock. Hell, they didn't even give us a WrestleMania 1 arena, which I think is just stupid. They started at WrestleMania 3 with one of the most iconic matches. I loved that match. I watched it myself because I did watch the first 3 WrestleManias a few years back. First 4, I think, actually. Um, Ricky Steamboat versus Macho Man. That's like a great match. A lot of people still talk about it to this day, and they should. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat is a legend. I still think he was done dirty because he asked for time off. Just bullshit. But yeah, showcase mode's fine. They added a lot of new matches. We got ambulance matches, casket matches. Both are really fun. I believe ambulance match is a brand new match. I've heard that it was on a DS version, but it was like a one-time thing, and I've never seen anything about that, like footage or anything. So like, this is a brand new match. Casket match though. The casket match was in 2K15 showcase mode. It was only playable in that, but it's still playable nonetheless. And we had buried alive matches, which are very similar. And I do think we did used to have casket matches. I'm not sure. But yeah, casket matches are here. They're pretty fun too. You can do all different types of ways of putting them in the casket or the ambulance. Like, you can carry them, you can drag them, you can simply just throw them in. You can like gut check them when they're on the ropes. You can power bomb them in from outside, from inside the ring. All different types of things. It's a lot of fun. Gauntlet matches are one of my personal favorite things to do. I am still currently trying to do the 30-man gauntlet turmoil thing. I've gotten pretty close. You have to beat it from number 1, 30-man turmoil match, which means you got to face 29 people in one-on-one matches. Not only that, it has to be on the hardest difficulty, legend difficulty. My trick is I usually put people that can't do resiliency because that's a new thing in this game. If you're below an 85 overall, you can't do resiliency, which I personally think the cap should be 80. I think if you're an 80, you should be able to have resiliency. That's just my personal opinion. But WWE said 85, which I think is kind of high. Because, that just makes it less incentive for a lot of people to play as lower overalls. It didn't stop me none. Because Angel Garza is one of my top used people. He's in my top 10. And he's only a 67 overall. I kick ass with him. I love Angel Garza. But I can see it turning off a lot of people, especially online, where people will do cheap shit, and if you're not able to use resiliency, you just lost the match. Um, though I also don't do online. So, yeah, it just. I think they should have stopped at 80. 85 is a bit high. Because that leads to some people that are really close, like Dominic Mysterio's an 83. He doesn't have resiliency. Or Shayna Baszler, she's like an 84. She doesn't have resiliency. But yeah, gauntlet matches are a lot of fun. There's all different types of way to play them. And I've mainly played the Turmoil one, though. Haven't really played the other ones that much. Maybe once just to see what they were like. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I've gotten pretty far. I think the farthest I've gotten was like 23 or something, and then I lost. But I've I actually did beat a 30-man Turmoil match, but it wasn't on legend difficulty. I wanted to see if I could do it, and I did it first try. So I think it's just the legend difficulty that's having me struggle. Though I've already gotten most of the legend difficulty trophies, like beat a Casca match on legend difficulty. Um, there was one with like beating Finn Balor as LA Knight for some reason. There was beat Roman Reigns as Bruno Sammartino, and I did that one too. And that one was pretty easy too. I did that like first try. I thought it was weird that they made Bruno a bit skinnier than he actually was. Like Roman looked bigger than Bruno. And I just don't think that's accurate. Like I'm not the biggest Bruno fan ever, but I've seen a few of his matches and he was a big dude. He doesn't look that big in the 2K24. I'm pretty sure he looked bigger in 23. Maybe I'm just not remembering it right. Now let's get to story mode. Story mode, yeah. First story mode feels like it's way too soon. It was a fun story mode, but the first story mode is about breaking Roman's undisputed era, like breaking his streak with the title. It feels too soon because when this game came out, Cody hadn't even beat it yet. Like, at least that's the way they had framed it in showcase mode. Like, they had said that, like, it was like an upcoming match. So maybe by the time the game came out, Cody had beat him for the Universal and WWE title, the undisputed title. But yeah, the men's thing is that it's breaking Roman's record. It was a pretty good one. There are some flaws, like how you have to do 2 playthroughs for it to make sense. I like doing 2 playthroughs. That is how I've been doing it. Not only to get trophies, but it's fun to see other decisions. But you literally have to do 2 playthroughs for this to make sense because there's an elimination chamber match where it's all your biggest rivals. But 2 of the rivalries happen separately, like they're decisions that you have to make for them to happen. So when you get to elimination chamber, originally, at least for my playthrough, I had fucking Seth Rollins in there as one of my biggest rivalries, even though I had never even had a match against the guy. Well, that's because if you do a second playthrough and you make like some other decisions, you'll end up facing Seth Rollins. But that makes it so weird because, I'm playing through Elimination Chamber, Logan Paul, Kane, all these people I've had rivalries with, and then Seth Rollins is just there because they didn't frame it right. Like, it literally didn't make sense that he was there because you have to do a second playthrough. There's also like something that's framed as like a big decision on whether you can either work with Miz or go to NXT. If you go to NXT, it's a lot of fun. I enjoyed that. But if you work with Miz, it literally adds nothing to the game. He barely shows up after that. And when he does, it's to break up the partnership. It's so fucking stupid. And just so contrived. It's just nothing good comes out of it. Of course, you beat he who shall not be named. I'll just refer to him as the Beast. I'm sure people know who that is. He shows up in story mode and showcase mode because they didn't have time to remove him from showcase mode and from story mode. And for story mode, it was, a big moment. For showcase mode, it was a big moment. So I guess it makes sense that he had to stay. But he's not playable in the game. He hits Montez Ford with his finisher. Poor Montez. He had won the Royal Rumble. And yeah, he just kind of pushes him to the side. You beat him. Roman's like, you gotta do it yourself since nobody else can do it. And then you beat him, and you beat Roman's title record by like one day, and then story mode just kind of ends. It's a pretty decent story mode. I enjoyed it. I liked the women's My Rise better, though it didn't really have as many big decisions. This one's very different. You start out as this wrestler that's in this indie promotion called TBD, and eventually you accidentally get into WWE because they're impressed with you, and your friend encourages you to go to WWE. But eventually she's pissed about that because she didn't realize what she was losing. A lot of the decisions in the women's My Rise are kind of forced upon you, which is just no fun. The story mode itself was a lot of fun, but a lot of the decisions are just kind of forced. Like, for example, you beat up your friend Psycho Sally with stairs. You don't get to make that decision, like, to choose whether you want to align yourself with Rhea Ripley or not. It's just an automated cutscene. I feel like that should have been a big decision on whether or not to turn on her. Like in 2K23 on whether or not you could turn on Ava Monroe. But nope. There aren't too many big decisions in the women's My Rise. There's one decision where you can either be confrontational with Liv Morgan or not. If you're confrontational with her, you bang her head off a desk and shit, and you tell your producers to take out the trash, which is a pretty cool cutscene. If you're not confrontational with her, Liv Morgan beats you up in kind of a lame way. It's just whatever. I did like how much effort they put into the actual, cutscenes. You can have all different types of stuff. Like, if you have certain weapons in the ring, they stay in the ring for cutscenes. If you do Poison Mist, characters will have Poison Mist on their face during cutscenes. Stuff like that. I liked that. Taking something as simple as taking off the turnbuckle pad. The turnbuckle pad will be off during cutscenes. I like that. So you're probably gonna see more of stuff like that in 2K25. Like, it was something I knew of, but I wasn't going out of my way to do. I'm probably gonna go out of my way to do it in 25 because it's just so cool to see all the different shit. Yeah, the big confrontation. She ends up saying, "Hey, technically, I have this contract right here that says you can't be in WWE, so you're gonna be working in TBD now." And she puts you to the test in a few matches, like a handicap match and a gauntlet match. Mowed through those pretty easy. And then she wants to face you herself. And they talk it out after they fight while laying down in the ring. And then you get put back in WWE. And they basically just do what Cody did. I guess, Cody's on the cover. We got to reference him. They do what Cody did because Cody was Seth Rollins' WrestleMania mystery opponent. And the ending of the story is you're Becky Lynch's WrestleMania mystery opponent. And, another funny thing about that is obviously Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins are married. That was clearly on purpose. You beat Becky Lynch at WrestleMania, you get some fireworks. Not too bad. The game itself's pretty great. I like all the new inclusions. We finally got people that have been in the company for years. I've been a big fan of Ivy Nile for a while, and this is her first game. Diamond Mind were in 23, I believe, but she wasn't in it. So I'm happy Ivy's in this game. Got some other people in here. And yeah, it's a pretty solid roster. And, with so many new match types, I fucking love it. When I get 25, I'm probably going to love it too, with them bringing back intergender. Because there's matches I like doing, I wish fucking Roderick Strong was in there and kick his ass as I have Ivy Nile and shit. I like Ivy Nile, if you couldn't tell. And they're also being, for some reason, even though he's not in the games anymore, Shane McMahon's little underground thing that he was doing during the pandemic. And I believe it is a thing in like NXT now, but like it was obviously like a Raw thing. Yet we still don't have like the NXT Fight Pit. I love the Fight Pit. I've seen all of those matches. Like there was Matt Riddle versus Timothy Thatcher versus Ciampa. Timothy Thatcher versus Ciampa. I loved that one. Yeah, but we're not here to talk about that game, so kind of going on and on about the matches and that. But yeah, there's a lot of new shit to do in this game. But since 25 has a lot more to offer, I would say if you don't have 24 or 25, I would get 25. Because it's going to have more stuff plus stuff that got added in this game. But if you're specifically wanting to play showcase mode or story mode, play through these for yourself, honestly, I'd recommend it. The showcase modes are pretty fun. They have their flaws, but they're fun. And the story mode, it's pretty fun. Though there is one more thing I want to say, and that is the fact that customs aren't working the correct way. WWE seems to have this problem where they mess up something every year. 18 had a problem, 19 had a problem. 20, surprisingly enough, with all its flaws, their custom stuff was perfectly fine. I was able to get every custom thing done. 22 had a problem where you could pretty much make anything except for titles. 23, the problem was fixed. 24, you can make Money in the Bank, you can make titles, you can make arenas, you can make customs, you can make signs now. That's a new addition to this game. I haven't made too many myself. I've made maybe 5. So you're probably wondering what the problem is. The problem is you can make titles, but they don't show up in entrances. I don't know if this is just a me problem, because I haven't found anything online about it. With 22, I know other people were having the problem with the titles, where they couldn't make titles. Like, they'd let you make it, and then it just wouldn't save, even if you press save. This game, you can show up, you can make a custom, they'll come out with their custom Money in the Bank, but they won't come out with custom titles. Nobody will come out with custom titles. So it leaves custom titles pretty much useless, because, I can't see my person with a custom title. It sucks. That is one problem I had with this game.